Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. Today I have a question from Lorelei. Lorelei says, I'm wondering how I can see that my thoughts aren't true. I have snippets of time when I believe that my mind is just spinning a creative story, and then that feeling of clarity turns back into anxiety and I'm back in a thought storm. How come I can see it at certain times and other times I can't? How do I see more of it? How do I truly see that my beliefs aren't true? It's a great question, Lorelei, one that I've been sent in various forms many times and that I've asked myself many times. Probably most of us have. So just one thing. I think sometimes we can set out with a bit of an agenda, like I believe my thoughts aren't true, even though they feel very true to me. I believe they aren't true, and I want to prove that right. I want to see more of that. You may or may not be holding it kind of that way, but I guess what I want to say about that is we just want to be really, really curious and just explore this with no agenda. Of course, it makes sense that thoughts aren't true, yet it also kind of makes sense that they would be, and they also feel very true, so who knows? Everybody says thoughts aren't true, or some people do, but all of that is kind of more thought and belief. So you see what I mean? There's this way of well, I believe thoughts aren't true, so I want that to be my truth, and it gets kind of messy. It's kind of like wanting to believe a certain thing. So it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just think this could be super helpful. Is let's just have zero hypothesis, zero agenda, healthy suspicion, and just dive right in and see what we see. Not trying to confirm something we've heard, but just see what we see. So the best way to see the true nature of thought is to really, really, really watch it. Really, really watch it. You are a absolute fanatic connoisseur of thought. You can't wait for the next thought to show up. You're just in here ooh, what the heck is going on? Like every time you notice a thought, ooh, there's a thought, and you're just looking at it. What is this? What's it made of? What's it saying? Who's saying it? Who's saying this? Who or what is it about? Who or what is it referencing? Because almost all thought references a Lorelei in your mind. Almost all thought that arises here references an Amy in one way or another, or Amy's dog, or Amy's kids, or Amy's day, or whatever, right? That's just the nature of thought. Where is that reference? And who's thinking this? Where is it coming from? What was there just before this thought formed? And where does it go? It just goes. It just goes, apparently. Where does it go? These are crazy questions. What is this? What is the nature of this? If there's an Amy's dog thought, do I see my dog? Is there an image? Is there sound? Is there a familiar image? Is there a memory? That's how I want you to kind of be, but really from this place of okay, no thought. I'm just waiting for the next thought to show up, and I'm just gonna look at it with curiosity. When we study thought in this way, and I shouldn't use the word study because I don't want to make it into this big heavy task, but it's just the ultimate curiosity, starting again from no real hypothesis, from I just want to know. There's something that seems to be telling stories, narrating life, really creating my experience of life in large part. I want to know more about that. It may or may not be true. I may find that beliefs are true. Who knows what you'll find, right? But you just really want to look at that and study it. And when you do this, Lorelei, when you just examine it as much as you can. Now, of course, you're going to do that for a few minutes, if you can even do a few minutes in the beginning, and then you're going to get caught up in stuff. That's absolutely fine. You're going to do this, and then the doorbell's going to ring, and you're going to be off just in thought, and that's of course. I mean, this is not your whole life. So of course that's going to happen. But when it occurs to you to come back and look at it and be like, ooh, what's the next thought that's going to show up? And how does it show up? And to kind of play with this in this way, you will be full on examining thought and belief, and all of your questions about it will be answered, or they just won't be questions anymore. Like, there's nothing that anyone can really tell you outside of your own watching it. And when you watch thought in this way and you really get into it and get curious about it, I think you'll see everything that you need to see. One thing I want to mention in this, so you said, I have snippets of time when my mind is just spinning a creative story. You actually say, when I believe that my mind is just is just spinning a creative story. So again, I don't want to pick on the words, but it doesn't matter what you believe. That's what we're looking at, right? We're not taking that as truth. You might believe that all you want. You might believe it's telling you the truth. That's a thought. You see what I mean? Like, where this is going. So if I were to come in and be like, okay, here's how we know that beliefs aren't true, because they contradict themselves and they do this and they do that. Well, that's just more beliefs. That's just more thought. That's not going to do anything for you. You have to get in there and look at it yourself. So you say, snippets of time where I believe that my mind is just spinning a creative story, but then that feeling of clarity turns back into anxiety and I'm back in my thought storm. I think it's super important as we're doing this that you feel that anxiety. If anxiety is there, fine, anxiety. I mean, it's not anxiety, right? You're going to see this as you really get curious about what's going on. There's some sensation, there's some felt experience that maybe feels like it's different than it was a second ago or a minute ago. There's something there. There's also stuff that's being seen and smelt and heard. There's just what's here. And then you're going to notice more thought. But you say it like that clarity turns back into anxiety and I'm back in my thought storm, as if that's a problem or like that deters something. Great. That's a great place to be. So be in sensation, be in anxiety. What's a thought storm? Seriously, be curious about that. What even is this thing? A thought is coming in saying, oh, I'm in a thought storm. That's a thought. That's an interesting thought. What is this thing that thought is pointing toward that's being called a thought storm? More thought? How's that showing up? Who's it about? Who's thinking it? Where's it going? By doing this, it slows everything down in a sense, and we really get in there. And then we don't, feel like we need to look for proof that beliefs are true or not true, because you get to be super familiar with this stuff. It gets to be super intimate. And to the extent, if this is true, that it feels like a thought storm is this big bad thing that comes upon you, that gets to change. Because again, now you're in this place of, you're like, ooh, what is this stuff? Bring it on. I'm studying it. I'm curious about it. What even is a thought storm? Is that a thing? Or is that another belief I picked up along the way? You're in there with no resistance. You're in there just checking it out. And this is what really starts to clarify things. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know how it goes as you play with it. This is huge. This is really, really, it's just really big stuff. And again, I can't say enough about feeling as we're doing that. So when felt sensations, all of that come up, feel that. It's easier. It's so much easier to see thought as thought when we're fully in feeling. Otherwise, thought's just running so fast to try to keep us out of feeling, it gets to be a mess. When we're open to feeling anything that arises in the body, emotion, anything, when we're kind of in the feeling of that, it's, in my experience anyway, it is much, much, much easier to also see thought as thought at that time. So let me know how it goes. Thanks for sending your question. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you next week.